Hello friends, today we are going to do lesson number 13, The Mysterious Affair at Styles. Essex News, The Mysterious Affair. In Styles Court, an Essex country manor, England, Emily Inglethorpe, the owner, has been murdered. She was previously married to Mr. Cavendish. Emily later married a young man, Mr. Alfred Inglethorpe. In the household stay her stepsons, John and Lawrence Cavendish, John's wife Mary Cavendish, Evelyn Howard, Emily's companion. Hercule Poirot has been brought to Styles to investigate the crime by Arthur Hastings. Arthur Hastings is the speaker of the story. The papers, of course, had been full of the tragedy, glaring headlines, sandwiched biographies of every member of the household, subtle, rude remarks, the usual familiar tag about the police having a clue. It was a slack time. The war was momentarily inactive and the newspapers seized with avidity on this crime in fashionable life. The mysterious affair at Styles was the topic of the moment. Naturally, it was very annoying for the Cavendishes. The house was constantly besieged by reporters who were consistently denied admission, but who continued to haunt the village undergrounds, where they lay in wait with cameras for any unwary members of the household. We all lived in a blast of publicity. The Scotland Yard man came and went, examining, questioning, lynx-eyed and reserved of tongue. After breakfast, Darkass came up to me rather mysteriously and asked if she might have a few words with me. Certainly. What is it, Darkass? Well, it's just this, sir. You will be seeing the Belgian gentleman today, perhaps. I nodded. Well, sir, you know, he asked me so particular if the mistress or anyone else had a green dress. Yes, you have found one. My interest was aroused. No, not that, sir, but since then I have remembered what the young gentleman, John and Lawrence, were still the young gentleman to Darkass, called the dressing-up box. It's up in the front attic, sir. A great chest full of old clothes and fancy dresses and what not. And it came to me sudden like that there might be a green dress amongst them. So, if you would tell the Belgian gentleman. I will tell him, Darkass. I promised. Thank you very much, sir. A very nice gentleman he is, sir, and quite a different class from them to detectives from London what goes prying about and asking questions. Dear old Darkass, as she stood there with her honest face upturned to mine, I thought what a fine specimen she was of the old-fashioned servant that is so fast dying out. I thought I might as well go down to the village at once and look up Poirot, but I met him halfway coming up to the house and at once gave him Darkass' message. We entered the house by one of the windows. There was no one in the hall and went straight up to the attic. Sure enough, there was the chest, a fine old piece, all studded with brass nails, and full to overflowing with every imaginable type of garment. He seemed somewhat apathetic in search, as though he expected no great results from it. Suddenly he gave an exclamation. "What is it? Look!" The chest was nearly empty, and there, reposing right at the bottom, was a magnificent black beard. "Oh!" said Parrot. "Oh!" He turned it over in his hands, examining it closely. "New," he remarked. "Yes, quite new." After a moment's hesitation, he replaced it in the chest. He went straight to the pantry, where we found Darkass busily polishing her silver. Parrot wished her good morning with Gallic politeness and went on. "We have been looking through that chest, Darkass. I am much obliged to you for mentioning it. There is indeed a fine collection there. Are they often used, may I ask?" "Well, sir, not often nowadays, though from time to time we do have that the young gentlemen call a dress-up night, and very funny it is sometimes, sir. Mr. Lawrence, he is wonderful, most comic. I shall never forget the night he came down as the Czar of Persia. I think he called it a sort of Eastern king it was. 'Mind, Darkass,' he says, 'you will have to be very respectful.' This evening must have been great fun," said Parrot genially. "I suppose Mr. Lawrence wore that fine black beard in the chest upstairs when he was Shah of Persia." "He did have a beard, sir," replied Darkass, smiling, "and well I know it, for he borrowed 2 skeins of my black wool to make it with, and I am sure it looked wonderfully natural at a distance. I didn't know as there was a beard up there at all. It must have been got quite lately, I think. There was a red wig, I know, but nothing else in the way of hair. So Darkass knows nothing about that black beard," said Parrot thoughtfully, as we walked out into the hall again. "Do you think it is the one?" I whispered eagerly. Parrot nodded. "I do. You notice it had been trimmed?" "No." "Yes, it was cut exactly the shape of Mr. Inglethorpe's, and I found 1 or 2 snipped hairs. Hastings, this affair is very deep. Who put it in the chest, I wonder?" "Someone with a good deal of intelligence," remarked Pilot dryly. "You realize that he chose the one place in the house to hide it where its presence would not be remarked. Yes, he is intelligent, but we must be more intelligent. We must be so intelligent that he does not suspect us of being intelligent at all." I acquiesced. "There, mon ami, you will be of great assistance to me." I was pleased with the compliment. There had been times when I hardly thought that Parrot appreciated me at my true worth. "Yes," he continued, staring at me thoughtfully, "you will be invaluable." This was naturally gratifying, but Parrot's next words were slow, not welcome. "I must have an ally in the house," he observed reflectively. "You have me," I protested. "True, but you are not sufficient." I was hurt and showed it. Parrot hurried to explain himself. "I want somebody who is not associated us in any way." "Here comes Miss Howard," said Parrot suddenly. "She is the very person." But I am in her black books since I cleared Mr. Inglethorpe. Still, we can but try. With a nod that was barely civil, Miss Howard assented to Parrot's request for a few minutes' conversation. We went into the little morning room and Parrot closed the door. "Do you remember, mademoiselle, that I once asked you to help me? It is this. Do you still believe that Mrs. Inglethorpe's husband is the criminal?" "You need not think your pretty explanations influence me in the slightest. I will admit that it wasn't he who bought the medicine at the chemist's shop. If I am convinced he did it, it doesn't matter a jot to me how he did it. Miss Howard, do you remember a conversation that took place on the day of my friend's arrival here? Do you remember affirming that if a crime had been committed and anyone you loved had been hurt, you felt certain that you would know by instinct who the criminal was, even if you were quite unable to prove it?" Parrot curtly, "Your instinct is not against Mr. Inglethorpe. You wish to believe he committed the crime. You believe him capable of committing it. But your instinct tells us he did not commit it. It tells you more. Shall I go on?" She was staring at him, fascinated, and made a slight affirmative movement of the hand. "You are trying to drown and stifle your instinct, which tells your another name," Miss Howard cried wildly, flinging up her hands. "I don't know what put such a dreadful idea to my head. Don't ask me," continued Miss Howard, "because I should not tell you. I would not admit it, even to myself. I must be mad to think of such a thing." Parrot nodded, as if satisfied. "I am going to ask you nothing. It is enough for me that it is as I thought, and I, too, have an instinct. We are working together towards a common end. You will help me, in spite of yourself. I ask you nothing, but you will be my ally. You will not be able to help yourself. You will do the only thing that I want of you, and that is, you will watch Evelyn Howard board her head." "Yes, I can't help doing that. I am always watching, always hoping I shall be proved wrong." "Deuce," said Parrot, looking after her, "goes a very valuable ally. That woman Hastings has got brains as well as a heart." I did not reply. "You and Miss Howard seem to know what you are talking about," I observed coldly. "Perhaps you don't realize that I am still in the dark. Enlighten me, will you?" Parrot studied me attentively for a moment or two. Then, to my intense surprise, he shook his head decidedly. No, my friend, 2 is enough for a secret. Well, I think it is very unfair to keep back facts from me. Every fact that I know is in your possession. You can draw your own deductions from them. This time it is a question of ideas, you see, he said sadly. You have no instincts. It was intelligence you were requiring just now, I pointed out. The two often go together, said Parrot enigmatically. The remark seemed so utterly irrelevant that I did not even take the trouble to answer it, but I decided that if I made any interesting and important discoveries, as no doubt I should, I would keep to myself. Surprise, Parrot, with the ultimate result. There are times when it is one's duty to assert oneself. Extract from The Mysterious Affair at Styles by Agatha Christie. Thank you.